Hello and welcome to the August the 6th, 2011 edition of A Book and a Martini. Cheers. I want to start slightly differently this week than usual by starting with the reading. Guess who the author is? Well, you've probably already seen the name of this edition of A Book and a Martini, so it isn't going to be a shock. But just in case, the most influential book on his life was How Green Was My Valley by Richard Llewellyn. And the author writes, several aspects of this hitherto occluded other Britain lodged in the mind. First of all, its inhabitants worked mostly under the ground, like the Morlocks in H.G. Wells. Second, they spoke a non-English language at home and at church, and considered themselves conquered and dispossessed as a nation as well as suppressed as a class. Third, they thought of going on strike as an act of unselfish solidarity and emancipation, rather than as holding the country to ransom. Fourth, though I do not know why I am placing this last on my list, they conceived of education and learning as the avenues to a better life, for their fellows as well as themselves, and not as an expensively bought means of declaring themselves superior to others less fortunate. Christopher Hitchens is who we're talking about this week, and this is Hitch 22, the memoir or biography that came out last year. Pardon me. Because of truly sad irony, the book came out at precisely the same time as Hitchens was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. Hitchens is fighting for his life, but he's still writing. And why I chose him this week is that what I want this series to do is to talk about the really essential writers of our times or past times. And I chose Hitch because, for my money, he's the greatest journalist of my lifetime. The first time I became aware of Hitchens was during the 1991 Gulf War, and it was in February in the early days of it. And CNN had Hitch on along with one of those retired U.S. Army generals who are always available for news panel shows. And Hitchens, who I hadn't seen before, was on the split screen, right? And Stella, my border collie, is banging away into the chair right now. Good girl, good girl. Anyway, so Hitch is on the split screen with the general, and he asks the general, can you actually name the bordering countries to Kuwait? Long pause. No, he couldn't. And that was when I thought, oh, this is a fellow to be reckoned with. You can find his work on Slate.com and in Vanity Fair, many books. He is fearless. He is absolutely fearless, which I think is perhaps the most important quality for journalists. He's gone after Mother Teresa, Henry Kissinger, you name it. He's not as popular with the left. Hitch was at least a borderline Trotskyite for most of his life, and the left has more or less abandoned him because Hitchens supports the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and is vigorous in his attack on quote-unquote Islamic terrorism. I would argue, and the other reason why I chose Hitch to talk about this week is that he's actually being completely consistent. For one thing, you can never say that he's prejudiced against Islam at all. He has fought the cause of the Palestinians, has cheered on the Arab Spring movement. the Kurds in Iraq. One of the basic reasons why he supported the Iraq War was so quiet, girl, was so those people could finally be freed. I'm not personally in favor of the wars, Afghanistan in particular, because it was never winnable. But I let Hitch off on his support much the same way as I let Tony Blair off the hook too, because they actually are coming at it from moral reasons. Hitchens' point, and it's a hard one to argue with, is that the world is better off without Saddam Hussein. If you're going to have an army, well, what better reason to go to war with it? I have no idea why the United States invaded Iraq. I know that it wasn't to rid the world of a despot. I think that it was a strange combination of George Bush the less wanted to do what Daddy couldn't, and they felt they needed to invade something after 9/11. Do give Hitchens a read. He gave a wonderful interview to Charlie Rose not long after the cancer was diagnosed. He's in stage 4, by the way, and as Hitchens points out, there is no stage 5. And Charlie asked him about fears and so forth. Hitchens is an atheist. I tend to think he's more of a Gnostic, not agnostic, but Gnostic. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, Hitchens said that is one fear, and these words are golden to any writer. In some ways, they changed my life. Hitchens said that his one fear was that he would lose the ability to write. Why? Because writing is his recreation. There's the secret for a happy life for you. Quiet, girl. Jeez. I should just put you on camera. But you know what? Find something you love to do and figure out a way to make money from it. All right. Now you're on TV. Say hello. Yes, we love you. Well, on that happy note, what are you staring at? On that happy note, that's a book and a martini and a border collie for this week. And as our old friend Tom Snyder used to sign off, from those of us who work the late shift, good night, everybody.